This poem is called Claim. More favorable for government, brought to consider themselves, a fall of water, red shrimp, on the banks of the river, on the banks of the river, brought to consider themselves, on the banks of the river. Lack of documentation. For this festival, I made a work called The Liberation of the Chinook Wind. This title actually comes from a story from my nation, from the Secwepemc people. Where the idea came from is I took a number of small texts, individually cut out words, in my hand, and I threw them into the wind. So I wanted to see how would the wind rearrange these words and what poem would it create. By working with the data visualization and computer department at University of Toronto Mississauga, and they wrote a Python code which allows that kind of process to happen. So I came up with the idea, they wrote the code, and now the wind is writing the poetry. I have really engaged with the ideas of the exhibition and deeply moved by seeing the piece come to fruition. It started from these ideas, it started from my place on my land and thinking about how to connect to this place and with the ideas of the exhibition. The piece references Chinook salmon because it's my way of connecting where I come from and my place and my culture to the land here and the water here in Toronto, and acknowledging the Indigenous worldview and knowledge and territoriality of this place. Each of the 4 windsocks are emblazoned with text. They say, fight, thrash, water, claim. And the fight and thrash refer to the introduction of Chinook salmon into the Great Lakes. Chinook salmon were introduced by sports fishers because of the way that they fight and thrash on the line. But they might also reference our fight against climate change. They might also reference the last moments of thrashing of some species who are affected by climate change. And so they're meant to kind of make us think in different ways. Could it be our fight or is it others' fight? The other 2, water claim, reference the water claim, the legal claim the Mississaugas of the New Credit have to their traditional waters. Being able to see those windsocks and see the way the wind is moving here, the wind that's coming in from off of the water that is the water that's in deep relationship to the Indigenous peoples here, the water that is in deep relationship now to all of us, and how that comes in, fills these windsocks, allows them to dance, and also writes poetry 4 times a day. It allows us to think about the wind in a different way. If the wind can write poetry, then what is the wind saying to us at other times? You know, can we listen to the wind going through the leaves of that tree and understand a language, understand a poem, understand a prophecy?